A strategic investor, they have skin in the game and they have the resources and the know-how to help push your business into the direction it needs to go to. So that to me is the importance of having someone who's really strategic because it's in their best interest big time.
Welcome to our series entitled The IM Podcast, a podcast about innovation, business, and most importantly, people. In this series, we'll be talking to founders, executives, and various experts about their vision, challenges, best practices, and lessons learned throughout their journey. Let's get started. Hello and what's up, everyone? I am Mariah, your host. Welcome to another episode of the I Am Podcast. You know what? I am very excited. I was speaking with this man last year at exactly this month. Here on the show, again, the founder and the CEO at Diagnostics, Guy Goldman. Hey, Guy.
Hey, good morning. It's so nice to see you again.
So nice to see you again. Can you believe how fast time flew?
No, we've done so much in this past year that I was actually looking at our last record and I'm like, wow, we just got started. And yeah, so there's been a lot of progress. Good things, bad things, you know how it goes. But all in all, it's been a wild year.
Yes. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. The good things and the bad things would love to know. Okay. So first, okay, let's get started. You know, we are really excited to ask you a lot of questions about your journey. So you said, I can clearly remember technologies that are developed, you know, that skip the revolutionary evolutionary curve. There's always a personal story behind, and those are very powerful one. So I want to know, like, were you able to convince everyone to take you on your journey, and did it flip? How's the momentum?
So I mean, it's a really good question because as a founder, you have to learn how to deal with rejection. It's a must, you know. And I always tell people if I don't get rejected twice a day, then my pipeline is too short, and I start getting concerned that I don't have enough pipeline because you have to get rejected at least twice a day. And rejection comes in all different shapes, right? So it's not just from investors and from client customers and stuff like that. It's from potential work candidates. You want to hire someone, they decide not to, or it could be, a technology rejection where, you work very hard to get something to work and you turn on the switch and nothing happens. It's just, it's everywhere's rejection. So when you ask everyone, jumping on board, no, of course not. That would just be too easy. The lucky few who have jumped on board have done so far, very well with our company. We've moved from the last time I spoke to you, where we were doing something called an MVP, and we're getting our MVP up and going. We've already taken the product into market, so we're already selling the product. It's working. People are urinating in my toilet, and we are scanning their data, and it's absolutely phenomenal. We've got lots and lots and lots of orders, open orders. We have that supply problem, so there's a lot of demand all over the place. There's demand, supply is the problem, and none of us. We just hired someone now who's actually has a manufacturing background because none of us have a manufacturing background. We all kind of came with this oversimplified. Oh yeah, just here, get a CAD drawing. Make me 100 of these, please. And we found out it's not that easy, and we're starting to ramp up on the manufacturing so we can fulfill these orders, and we're starting our next round of financing. So yeah, there's a lot going on.
Wow, that's a good problem, right?
Yeah, it is.
Now, I remember last Christmas, you said, like we were talking, that's a good gift for Christmas. You're like launching the MVP, like the beta version. Okay, so first, so to those who wasn't able, because we were talking about the last one that we recorded, for those who just listened to you right now. So first, let's please tell us about you. What do you do at Olive?
Okay, so I'm the founder and the CEO of the company. You're right. Not everyone has listened to the other one in anticipation to listen to this one. What Olive Diagnostic does is we've created a sensor that you mount onto a toilet. And as a person urinates, while they're urinating, completely passive, so the person doesn't have to collect or aim or anything. They just use the toilet the same way they have since they've been 2 years old. As the urine is going down, we're actually horizontally sampling the urine using optics. and we're able to learn the molecular composition of the urine, as well as other characteristics of the urine, such as volume and color and frequency and all those other things. And we put all that information into a profile in the cloud. And then what we're able to do is learn a person's body. I mean, a person urinates 5 to 7 times a day. So think about getting, urinalysis 5 to 7 times a day. All right. So you baseline a person extremely, extremely well, very quickly. You baseline someone. Then you can see trends that are outside of the normal. And those trends will allows people to early detect diseases. So people who have, for example, UTIs or, maybe even kidney stones, it's growing in their bodies, weeks before it bursts, before it flares up, and then you get the symptoms. And if you are able to know about these things ahead of time, then you can actually cure them without having to feel the symptoms. So from a curing perspective, it's a lot easier. I mean, you have a 95-year-old woman goes to the hospital with a UTI. She has 50 symptoms going on, dementia. She's not eating structurally. She's in pain. She has a fever. She has hundreds of things, and you're dealing with all these symptoms, and you're dealing with the UTI. But if you were to catch it before the symptoms come out, then you just deal with the actual disease. Same thing with kidney stones and heart failure. It just goes on and on. There's a long list. And so through continuous passive urinalysis, we're able to know what's happening inside your body all the time. So it's a very, very revolutionary. I hate using that word, but it's a very kind of industry changing.
Yes. I like that you said a while ago they're now peeing in your toilet.
Yeah.
They're now using your toilet, and now your problem is how to scale it, like how 1 million people can use your toilet.
Right. And I should have just made clear, it's not a toilet, right? We're not selling people toilets. It's a sensor that sits on top of the toilet. So I should have probably said that better.
To those people or viewers who will be watching this on YouTube, you should have brought one. No,
yeah, I don't have one in my office here. It's in the toilet room.
While listening to you, that story of an old woman like that, guys, you have to go back to that previous episode to know that very powerful personal story, like how this whole olive story came about. Okay, but I want you to take our listeners to your product market fit journey. Like, how is the market? How do they engage? What more did you understand about the customers?
That was painful. That was very painful. So just imagine a bunch of PhDs in, chemistry and physics and math making a device that people need to sit on. Okay. And so there were a lot of things that we did not think about. And when we got to the market.
Example.
So for an example, we started sales in the Netherlands. Okay. And our device, the way that we initially set it up, it had kind of a high lift because ergonomically, there was a need. I'm not going to go into really, it's a little weird, but we need to raise up the user so he sits a little higher than the sensor. So to do that, we need to raise the toilet. Okay. Now we thought, okay, that makes sense. We lift up the user a little bit, and then everything's solved. And it has to do with older men's whatever genitalia hanging. So we had to. It's a little embarrassing. So we had to raise up the man so he would, if he sits and urinates, it won't get in the way. So fine, made sense. Why not? We got to the Netherlands, and we found out in the Netherlands, people, when they reach a certain age, they buy higher toilets because for elderly people, it's hard to sit down in the toilet and get back up. So they buy these toilets that are higher. Now we have this raise. The guy's freaking standing up, and we didn't. So we send this out to Holland. We're all, all excited and opening champagne bottles, our first customers, and they're pretty much like, guys, this isn't going to work for me, So then we had to oh, shoot. Okay, we have to redesign everything really quick because now the customers are like, what's going on? You said it was going to be ready. And then hardware, unlike software, you change the screw a centimeter and it's got to go through a month of redesign, mechanical engineering, industrial engineering, new drawings, new molds, new this. Everything takes forever, And so that was a hard and painful experience. What did we learn from our customers? Man, that was a big learning curve, We got in our device, so we are selling, and so the story started with my mom being sick and having chemotherapy, and I want to know what's going on with her, and I'm far away and couldn't know. And we actually closed the loop by going after the assisted living facilities and elderly population. So I'm really happy with that personally because that's why I created this. And we close that loop, and that's our customer base. So in our case, we don't really present our findings to the end user. Okay, it's not really the elderly people who are urinating and getting data to their phone. What we actually do is we send the information to the clinical staff at whatever facility or telemedicine organization, and then they see the results, and then we started getting feedback from them, you know, like, wait a minute. So now I'm going to get an alert every time someone urinates, and we have 50 people urinating. What is that? 50 times 5, right? Times a day, 250, bang, it's just happening all the time. Okay, so we have to understand what we send, when we send it, how we send it, pre-diagnostic type diagnostic that we're doing on our device, on our side to ensure that we don't give them just, loads of information. And so the whole thing was, you know, and maybe we could have done a better job at doing market fit. But when you're running, 100 miles an hour, stopping at nothing, and just every time you get rejected, you have to pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot, to make things work. You don't have that luxury to like, okay, 1 second, let's do a survey with, it just takes too long, and sometimes it's trial by fire. You just try it and trial and error until you get it right. Uh, so there's been a lot of learning from our customers, and it's never ending, right? So I expect to learn more and more and redesign or rechange. It's until we'll never get it right. We'll get it as close as we can.
Funny, interesting, overwhelming, and now you're here. I mean, now you're in the journey to. You said you're laser focused on your preparation for your round A investment,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And there are numerous challenges, right? And you've mentioned, I mean, the challenges you went through before, and right now it's another set of challenges, like a new phase, new challenge. So why did you decide to go to round A investment?
Oh, because we need the money. So our company has grown. So when we first met, I think we were 4 people. We're 25 people now. So we're growing fast, and there's lots of challenges, with growing that quickly. Not that 25 is a huge, management problem, because that's, everyone's adults and they're all pretty much self-managed. But it's other problems. Here in Israel, we're competing against hundreds of unicorn companies, right, that are paying huge salaries. We've got every big corporation in the world is doing R&D in Israel. So it's Facebook and Google and eBay. Everyone's here and everyone's paying these really big salaries to get these really good people. And all of a sudden you're a startup. So anyways, you're risky, because who really wants to work in a startup, because it's risky and you don't have money to pay them. So, it's difficult to hire talented people, and then we just get super, super lucky. And people get very attached to what we're doing as well. And they see the good in it, and they see how it's going to better their lives and better their, and they want to be a part of that. So, we've been very lucky. And I think that, that it's kind of an easy sell, because people very quickly, get drawn into the vision.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Tell us, like some stories. How did people decide? Okay, I'll join you. Yes, you're experiencing the real bloodbath,
Right.
right? In search for the good talent. Any story?
So I think, and you hear this a lot in all these kind of lectures on modern management and stuff like that. People today aren't so much in for the check. They're not in, the paycheck. They're not. I mean, they are. Don't get me wrong. No one's like working out of,
Working for
yeah,
free.
working for free. I wish, right? No one's doing that. But people are really seeking a purpose. Something that's good. And so just as a story, but so I was talking to this very high level data scientist, and he was a little bit too high level to be accepting to work in a startup that's high risk. Like, it kind of makes sense. And so we're talking and whatever, how you doing and all that. And I go to him, I don't get it. You know, I would die right now to have you in our company for sure. But I got to understand what is it that's going. And what happened was there was a personal tragedy that happened to him in his life, okay? That was because of a misdiagnosis that was completely unnecessary. So he put on the side burner, he put, okay, I have to deal with this misdiagnosis. That can't happen to anyone. That's terrible. And he put it on the side for like, whatever, 15 years as he went through his career. But it was always buzzing in his head that he hasn't dealt with that yet. And it was bothering him. And he had this kind of opportunity to leave what he was doing. And he's like, this is what I've been wanting to do, but it wasn't made easy for me to do that transition from my cozy job to doing this. And now it's made easy. And he joined us. So it came from a very, very personal, just like the personal story that made me even start this company in the first place. And I hear that I would say probably almost every employee in the company, because who doesn't have, I think it's like 87% of elderly people have chronic diseases, right? So everyone's got chronic diseases and everyone's dealing with it and it's impacting every family. So, if it's someone has to go take care of dad and bring him to the doctor again and pick up a prescription, everyone's dealing with it. So everyone relates to it.
Yeah, wow, that's very powerful one. You really connect to people. I mean, whether it's investors or employees, team members, through that vision, right? If they align with your vision. Okay, let's talk about investors. Speaking of investors, what kind of investors are you looking for, or do you want to build relationships with?
Round A, you know, uh, since we've spoken, we've already had two other rounds, okay? And I've called them all these weird names because it wasn't really round A, because real round A is when you have revenues and it's growth and stuff like that. Everything else is kind of seed, but you don't want to call yourself seed. So we had all these weird names. Round A is very different. And round A, it's when I look back at the presentations I was using for my other rounds, I can't use them anymore. I look at them and it makes me sick because it's all vision. you know, Imagine you can do this, and how great would the world be? And and I just look at that. I'm like, wow, you know, it was real, not smoke and mirrors, but it was real. It was real vision. And round A is very different. Round A is concrete facts. And the good news is I don't think I have to prove to anyone that the device works. That's a huge obstacle to overcome because, in the previous rounds it was all, well, does it work? And then okay, then you did the clinical trials. You're like, yeah, look what great results. And they're like, yeah, but is someone seeing on it and peeing? Well, how do I know it works? And then, but is an elderly person seeing on peeing it, or is it you guys? Well, it's us. Well, how do we know it works? And it's always, how do we know it works? And now, we have 15,000 samples, a week that we're getting. Here's the proof. So don't worry about, does it work? Now it's about, well, is it going to sell? And the investors, it's not like they're like, wow, yay, it works, we're going to invest your money. It's not. It's like, okay, that's great, but now is it going to sell? And now you have to go through well, is it going to sell? So round A is developing the assets around being able to convince someone that that they're going to make money off the company. Well, beforehand, not that the other investors were doing it, philanthropically. They were also investing to make money, but it was different. It was kind of like, wow, this is a crazy science. I want to be a part of this crazy science. I want to, again, they also want to make money. It's not like they didn't think about that. Where in the past it was all about vision and about technology and innovation in technology and science. And now it's become about, does it sell? How much can I sell? How fast can I sell? What do I need in order to sell it? So for the past few months, we've been taking orders because I need to be able to prove to these guys, oh yeah, look, we sold this many already. How hard was that? It wasn't that hard. Okay, so, and it really isn't. Actually selling our product, I've been in sales my whole life. I've never had a product that sold so easy, which is absolutely phenomenal. You walk in 40 minutes, we sold 60,000 devices in 40 minutes. It takes
Wow.
nothing to sell our device. It's fantastic. But then on the other hand, it's like, okay, but we just have this little manufacturing problem. We'll just get over this manufacturing problem. We'll be able to also give you the device that you bought. So, it's the needs of the proceeds are a little bit more complicated as well to explain. Where beforehand it's like I need 15 R&D people. Okay, fine, because you're doing R&D. But now it's manufacturing, logistics, supply chain management, and we all know what supply chain management looks like today. Regulation. All these. It's much more complicated, much more interesting, if you ask me. But it just takes a little bit longer to explain.
How now your problem is, okay, how do you present to investors, like, okay, the ROI? I want to ask about the unique combinations that you believe investors will love, or share the incredible metrics, things like that.
A little bit, just going back to your last question, I'm going to put the two things together. It's like, what type of investor are we looking for? So we're looking for those investors who are, we're not interested in taking money from anyone anymore. We're kind of past that. We are going to need a lot of help on the medical side. We're going to need a lot of help on the distribution side, manufacturing side. So one of the actually the largest toilet manufacturer in the world is going to be investing in our round A as part of our round A investors, and they're looking at actually, taking our sensor and putting it inside the ceramics themselves. So then we'll be selling toilets, but they want to put it inside the toilet itself, like inside the ceramic. So we're looking for very, very strategic, very smart money. Again, we're in a really good place because we've already kind of told some people that we're not so interested in taking their money. Kind of wait and we'll see how things pan out. But right now, they're not really in our scope, and that's something I've never experienced before in any company that I've been raising money for. That it's kind of like, it's a hard thing because you're telling them, like, just if you don't mind, just waiting a month so we can see how other things progress, and we'll decide if we want to take your money or not. Obviously you don't say it like that, but so the matrices that we're looking at, and that we're showing investors. Again, the whole time I'm talking about manufacturing and stuff like that, it's talking about the sensor, but we're not really a sensor company. We're a data company. And the only reason we're doing the sensor is because no one else made this sensor, but we're very eager for other people to make the sensor. And we just process the data. That's our model, right? So, in Japan, they're going to make one with Hello Kitty on it. And in Brazil, they'll put like a soccer team or whatever, and, and that's fine. That's exactly what we want. Just send us the data that your sensor picks up, and we'll tell you what's inside, and that's kind of where we're eager to get. So the matrices that we're looking is that one of the main things that we have to look at is how many users are there per sensor, right? So you might have one sensor in a house that has 4 people, and can we get all 4 of those people to then be users of our device, and that's a major component of the assumptions, is how many users are going to be using each device. And then another obviously part in the matrix is, well, what's our churn rate going to look like? Again, we're doing something that's absolutely new. No one's ever done this before. We can't take, if I was doing smartwatches, I would take the other company's churn rate. I would say that's not going to be ours. We don't know. So our pregnant women who are eager to find out if they have, to make sure they don't have preeclampsia. Preeclampsia lasts for 6 months after birth. You have to constantly be monitoring for 6 months after. But after those 6 months, are they going to be like, okay, take this thing, throw it away, I don't need it anymore? Or are they going to be like, well, this is great because now I can check, if I'm going to get a migraine headache, and I can check, if I'm dehydrated, or if I'm dieting right, or, there's 20 other things, but is that going to be interesting for them enough or not? So there's a lot of usability questions that we still need to answer, and fill out that kind of that matrix that you're talking about.
It's really endless. I mean, the challenges, after one challenge, you get to face this, another challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, but I want to circle back to when you said, okay, done or gone are the days when we take just money anymore. So, what is the importance of not just taking money and being picky, or really taking time to select your investors? Why is it important?
Okay, a company like ours, and at the size that we're at right now, okay, we can only really be good at a number of things. And I keep on telling everyone, something that's not core to our business, we'll outsource. So everything that's not core to the business, we outsource. So our app development and our marketing and our, all those kind of things, we outsource. We do one thing really, really well, okay? And we reduce, or we increase the signal to noise ratio, the SNR, okay? That's all we do, is we take out So I think last time I told you, like, when you go to like a football match, right? Your friend who's three or four rows in front of you and two to the right, he turns to you and he goes, "Hey, do you want a beer?" You can't hear him because there's all the other noise, right? He said it, but you can't hear it because of the noise. But if you're able to completely shut off all the noise around, you would hear him say, "Do you want a beer?" That's pretty much what our company does. We shut down the noise and we focus on the signal. Okay, and that's all I want to focus on. I don't want to focus on anything else. But now I can't bring in a consultant who's going to help me, really help me develop my distribution channel. Because consultants, and I'm sure there's a lot of consultants listening to you right now, so I'm going to be very careful with what I say. Consultants are great. They're very, very good to use consultants where you can use them, but they don't have that flaming passion to make your business succeed. They want you to succeed because obviously then it's word of mouth and you tell the next guy and everyone's happy. The skin in the game is not really there. A strategic investor, they have skin in the game. So consultants, although they want to help you out and do the best they can do for a lot of reasons, they don't really have skin in the game. An investor, a strategic investor, has skin in the game, and they have the resources and the know-how to help push your business into the direction it needs to go to. So that to me is the importance of having someone who's really strategic, because it's in their best interest big time.
Yeah, that's investors. I'm learning that, okay, you don't have to really just think about the money, but strategy, strategic partners, investors who will really put their skin in the game. I remember Maddie,
Yes.
like Ambi,
Yes.
it's an app, like climate app, and he said, okay, one of the things that broke, I mean, his first investment was with the founder because it didn't. He wasn't willing to put the skin in the game. So even investors need to put that skin in the game.
Yes. Yes. And the investment is the skin in the game.
How has your life changed? Because I think last time I remember you said, okay, every entrepreneur should learn that this is really demanding. And right now you're talking about different challenges. So how's your life like now, Guy?
Yeah, so I was divorced a few years before I started the company. I got divorced. And recently I've met
Congratulations.
a very special person. And thank you very much. Things are going really well. However, there's days that, and a lot of them, that they're very long. Every day is demanding. I feel like the whole day I'm pretty much talking, listening to, but for the most part, and especially now that we go into this, investment season where we're looking to raise money, I'll have 8, 9 Zooms a day, and it's just one after another. And you kind of end the day whenever it ends, and especially now that we're talking to U.S. investors, and so it starts from the far east. So I have my 6 o'clock in the morning call, and it goes on till 12, 1 at night. Now it's lucky that this woman is very patient, but she's like, for her it must be very frustrating because it's a very strong signal of being number two, not be number one. And I don't want that to be like that, because it kind of happens. So she understands it, but that must feel terrible for her. So just on a personal level, it's challenging. It really takes everything out of you, because it's so demanding. There's so many rejections. There's so many anticipations for stuff to happen that don't happen. To me, it's about going to the gym when you can. Anytime you can, go to the gym, get out there and run, stay away from fast food. You just have to, because it's so convenient, because I haven't eaten in 10 hours. I'm kind of starving, and there's like a McDonald's right there. It's just yelling. And it's like, no, don't do that. And so
Those are really practical
yeah,
tips you
just
need to do, or things that you may face when you're in that phase in your journey. How do you how do you manage? I mean, all your stuff, you're a dad, you're a husband, you're a CEO, you're a sales guy. How do you do that?
um so I keep on saying to everyone, wow, I have to get like, someone to help me, like a PA type person. I just haven't done it, but because I'm sucking at that. The other day, after I finished this last round, I actually decided to take a vacation. And I've been wanting to take my son on a vacation for a while too. And because of the corona, and he was a little bit had some health issues before. So it just took a long time for, it was like 3 years I've been waiting to take him out on a vacation. And I got this new girlfriend. I'm like, okay, great, let's go on vacation. So
Well,
we fly out, she and I, to Italy, and we're there for like 4 or 5 days. And then 2 days before we fly out, I look at my calendar and I'm like, oh crap. I'm flying to Italy with her for 4 days. I'm flying back to Israel for 3 days, picking up my son and bringing him back to Italy. Like, dude, could I have planned that any stupider than that, you know? And only like 2 or 3 days before that, I actually realized I was doing that. It's like, so I bought the tickets and that's it. And I take off my plane and I don't even think about it. And it's hard to stay on the ball on so many, kids' school, this, that, having to take them to there and pick that up. If it's not on my calendar, dude, and it's, and it's terrible to say that if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist, So I'm gonna have lunch with my daughter. I'm like, okay, lunch with the daughter. I have to put it in, but if it's not there, I'm gonna completely forget about it. Something else is gonna come in, and I'm not organized.
okay, before you said you don't have a day you get rejected twice. Right now, going to Series A,
Right.
what are your questions or what would you like to ask?
So I really like raising money. It's really fun because for me, it's really fun. You're talking with people and you're learning about what they do, and they're learning about you, and I really like it. The one thing I really don't like about raising money is that it's always so critical because the impact of failure is catastrophic. Okay. So if it was like I was just raising money, but there wasn't any kind of if I was in Google raising money, it's like, who cares? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's just fun doing it, But it's so critical that the impact is catastrophic. I would like to know, okay, so from anyone, if someone would like to drop a line, I'd really, really appreciate it. How do you separate between the criticalness of raising the money, because the writing's on the wall. If I don't raise the money in X number of months, we close the doors. We are making revenues, but not enough to keep the thing sustained. I'd have to pretty much fire everyone. So how do you separate the critical impact from the nice, funny, fuzzy, upbeat, energetic? Because I try to, it's always scary to me because when you start the negotiations, you're so, obviously everyone's going to say, yeah, get 2 or 3 term sheets. Well, it's hard to get 1 term sheet, get 2 or 3. It's not like, people are, how do you keep your mind straight without the anxiety of failure? Because now you're going to put this, you start the timer. Okay, let's talk another 6 months. It's like, that would be I would love to hear someone say like, yeah, I focus on this during the meeting. I don't tell them this information, or I don't know what, but there's got to be a system here.
What question would you like to ask someone who's passed this journey?
How do you, I'll tell you. Okay, so every time before every round, okay, I put together, so I have my investment pipeline, Excel, and then the next tab over on that Excel is the what I'm going to do with the money right after I get it. Like I call it the next day tab, okay? Because you find yourself promising a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Oh yeah, when we get money, I'm going to get you that new computer and that new whatever you need. And yeah, it makes sense. You need a freaking new, this and, a raise for sure. We'll just finish the round A. So you start kind of promising all this stuff that happens after. And what happens is, well, so fine, so it's easy. So, you have your list and you know exactly what your spending is going to be. But then you start spending money, right? And it's kind of like when you go to IKEA, right? So you go up on the top floor, now you bought the freaking couch and beds and all the big stuff, and then you walk down to the bottom floor, and you start picking up all this stuff. Oh, I need a new egg beater. Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, look at these forks. I could take those. And what happens is that I find that my spending spikes, but then it continues to go up because I've kind of lost all those controls that I was like so good at keeping care of before, just because I spent a lot of money. So how do you keep the controls tight? Because it's really hard. It's not just me, it's everyone in the company. Oh yeah, I asked for a new mouse and I got it. I asked for a new keyboard. I go, oh great, well maybe I should ask for a new monitor now. Maybe I should ask for a new this. It kind of gets, yeah, so it's not just me that's losing control. It's everyone.
Wow. Is there anything that you want to share? I mean, anything else? Any question that you would like answer, or did we not cover what else about setting up?
Yeah, just if anyone knows anyone who wants to give up some couple $1 million, let us know. We'd be happy to. No, I really like these sessions. I actually watched the other sessions I see them on LinkedIn, so they pop up. You know, if you took I've been a CEO for about 10 years now in different organizations and stuff like that. And then just recently I went to CEO school because I felt like, it was like a course, I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty, but it was only like once a month, so it wasn't like, but because I said, you know what, maybe it's not just something that you pick up on the way and you're gonna wing it. Maybe there are some stuff that I'm completely not seeing, and it would be good to, there's some issues that I know that I have in every company that I'm at, and I decide, okay, well, if I'm having it in every company, obviously I'm the guy who's bringing that on board, and want to understand how other people are dealing with it. And I found that there are characteristics of CEOs that are either, they're CEOs because they have these characteristics, or the position makes you have to think in a particular way. I do listen to these things, to your podcast and to other podcasts from other CEOs, giving stories just like mine, just because it adds to my bag of tricks of things that I know or things I've heard of. I hope I'm contributing to someone, someone out there is like, oh, wow, that's really smart. And I should say that, I should do that. I'm going to be listening to others. And, I hope if you're listening to me, I hope that I've been able to do anything for you. That would be great. And I'd love to, interact.
Yeah, we really think each one is different. There are founders who are now raising money. They have different experience from yours. You have different products, different perspective where we can learn. Very valuable. So I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. Like we spoke of investors, the product, how you scale, you're growing, the people, the mindset and everything. If they would like to connect with you, how can they do that?
Just either through LinkedIn. So I will read every single email. So guy.goldman@olive.earth. Just say, hey, want to talk to you. Do you have time?
Thank you, Guy. And I hope your toilet reach every corner of this earth. Good luck to you and good luck to Olive. This podcast is powered by imops.io. Optimize your cloud infrastructure and CI/CD process with imops.io dedicated DevOps team. Check out www.imops.io and get a DevOps team now. Make sure to check out www.imops.io if you want to know more about us. Subscribe to our podcast so you can get notified every time we post a new video. Thank you, and you have a great day.